What's up? This is Bo, the 5'2" player, and this is Bo Jackson, one of the greatest athletes we've ever seen on the gridiron, on the diamond, anywhere. He's number 40 on this list of 40 legends who are missing from MLB The Show. If MLB The Show adds Bo Jackson, can y'all not see him with a charisma card? I know he doesn't have the full career statistics to warrant necessarily legend status, but if you ever saw him play, if you watch highlights of him play, you'll know why he would be such an awesome addition to MLB The Show. Hope to see him in there. Rafael Palmeiro's number 39 on this list. One of the best pure hitters in baseball in the 90s, the early 2000s. That best year is probably with the Texas Rangers, which is the reason why we have him up on the baseball card here, even though the created player that we're using is from the Baltimore Orioles. But they really nailed his swing. His face is really solid, but we need that real one in the game from MLB The Show. I think he would be just like a killer against right-handed pitching in Diamond Dynasty. And like all of the people who are on this list, they'd be excellent additions to the offline rosters as well, even though the creators are doing a pretty good job adding guys in. Another one here, number 38, is Carlos Beltran. A lot of the shine on Beltran is a little bit dimmed because of stuff that happened after he was a player, I should say. But let us not forget how good of an overall player Beltran was, especially with the Royals, a little bit with the Mets later on. All-around guy, 5-tool player. Just a fantastic player. Would be really good to have in MLB The Show. Would love to see him in there. We got Matt Holliday, late 2000s, just a beast out there. One of the best pure hitters in baseball. Some people may think that some of what he did was due to playing in Colorado with thin air, but Matt Holliday could just hit, and I think he showed that later on in his career when he ended up with the St. Louis Cardinals. But the best statistical years of his career were as a Rocky. That 2007 season was real, and we would love to see him in MLB The Show. I think he might have been in there before, but hopefully he ended up making his way back. Tim Lincecum, pretty short prime overall, but the late 2000s, this dude was nasty. Very slight frame, smaller guy, threw crazy hard, had excellent movement on his pitches, a star for the those really successful Giant teams during that era. But like I said, he had a pretty short prime. Injury started to break him down. He'd be a really good guy to have in MLB The Show. I want to see him in there. Nomar Garciaparra, number 35 on the list. Check it. He was a part of that time period in baseball where there were like these elite shortstops. And we're kind of there again, but not quite like it was when we had Nomar, A-Rod, Jeter, Miguel Tejada. I mean, it was crazy. And Nomar was right up there in that conversation for best shortstop in the game. Hit for power, definitely hit for some average. Really good player overall. Man, I would love to see him in MLB The Show. Next up, we got another Red Sox, Carl Yastrzemski. You're going to notice there's quite a few Red Sox here. I think the Boston Red Sox might have the most quote-unquote missing legends from MLB The Show of any franchise in Major League Baseball. Yastrzemski's one of them. He hit for the Triple Crown. I mean, I can't think of a reason why he's not in the game. So hopefully if there's some sort of contract situation or negotiations that need to take place for him, as well as the other people on this list, you're going to hear me kind of repeat that similar concept a couple times here, but we like to see Carl Yastrzemski added to MLB The Show. Next up, one of the more underrated players in the 90s. He does have a little bit of a steroid tag on him, and that's going to be something of a common theme through this whole list. But Juan Gonzalez won 2 MVPs in the 90s. One of the best power hitters of the decade. Really just cool, monstrous slugger. Like, really cool to play with. Can you imagine, like, what his splits would be against left-handed pitching, in MLB The Show? He would kill it. We need Juan gone. Igor. Next, Bernie Williams. You talk about those Yankee teams from the late 90s, early 2000s. And yes, Derek Jeter gets a lot of credit as being like the glue guy. But I would make the argument that Bernie Williams was something of that guy as well. Now, with couple times we take a look at some of these created players. This one's really good. The batting stance is good. I think it might be a little bit too dark, but overall, really good job. But another reason why we need the legit Sony render in the game so that we can enjoy Bernie Williams. That is quite the dinger. Bernie Williams needs to be in MLB The Show. Next up, I told you we got a lot of Red Sox, and they're going to keep coming. Carlton Fisk. You could argue that he could be in here as a White Sox. It doesn't matter. We just need him in the game. Once we get him, we could get him at all these different time periods of his career in Diamond Dynasty. But that particular year there is probably statistically his best season. He has the iconic image of him trying to wave the home run fair down the left field line in the in the World Series with the Boston Red Sox. Love to have Carlton Fisk added to the game. CC Sabathia, number 30 on the list, the 2007 version. That's Chunky CC. I hope he's thinner for his own health, because it's just healthier being a little thinner there. But from a pure baseball and character standpoint, Big Chubby CC is the one. That's the render I want in MLB The Show. I don't want them to give me keto CC Sabathia. I want carnivorous CC Sabathia in the game. Let's get that. Even though you eat a lot of meat on keto, but you know what I mean. All right, 29. Roy Campanella. One of the best catchers of his era, probably one of the best catchers of all time. The early 1950s, I don't think he gets enough credit. Like, go to Baseball Reference and just put in Campanella and look at some of the years he had in the early 50s, and you'll see what I'm saying. Look at his career numbers. Not a lot of catchers have the kind of offensive resume that Campanella had. Doesn't get that same attention as a lot of the other African-American baseball players who were around the time that the color barrier was broken, and he absolutely deserves it. Want to see Campanella in the game. Next up, we got Tim Rock Raines, number 28, one of the greatest base stealers in baseball history. Also hit for a super high average. Dude was built like a running back, like he was supposed to be leading the NFL in rushing or something. But stupid fast. Didn't hit for a ton of power, but just a great all-around baseball player. He finally got the call to the Hall of Fame. He was one of those guys that they made wait for a long time and really, really sweat it out. Finally got in, which is cool. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame and in MLB The Show. Speaking of speed, James Cool Papa Bell. I believe that he is going to be added into MLB The Show 24 as a part of their next year's Negro League class. Talk about speed, one of the coolest analogies and things or comparisons, or one of those little sayings that people say about people with speed that I heard about him. They said he was so fast that he could turn off the light switch and be in a bed before the room got dark. That's one of them legend stories that your parents tell you, your uncle tells you. We need James Cool Papa Bell in the game. I think he's going to be in there next year. Cecil Fielder, he's Prince Fielder's father, and he was quite the power hitter himself. The 1990 season for Fielder was especially good. I mean, there's a clip. I want y'all to go on YouTube and don't click out of my video. As a matter of fact, while you're in it, like and subscribe. But there's a video I want you to see. Cecil Fielder hits the ball out of Tiger Stadium. That's the hardest I've ever seen a ball hit. Like crazy. And, just with his power, the frame, everything, I think he'd be great in MLB The Show. Bartolo Colon is number 25 here on this list. This particular creative player looked like an albino version of the Incredible Hulk. I don't think that's what they was looking for. In any case, it ain't that bad. I totally get it. It's Bartolo Colon. Just all kinds of character on the mound. A really good pitcher, too. People forget how good of just a really good pitcher he was. That 05 Colon with the Angels, yeah, that card we need. Darryl Strawberry, number 24 on this list. Extremely talented. We talking about 6'5", to run, had a cannon of an arm, hit for some power, struck out a lot with that big long swing with a lot of holes in it. But he was a great player. Unfortunately, he did get caught up in some substance abuse issues that kind of derailed his career a little bit, but he still had a really good run as a player for the Mets. He played for the Yankees later. Really good player. Could have been even better than he was, but nonetheless, it'd be really cool to have in MLB The Show. I don't know if his past is keeping him out, I hope they get past that and let him in the game. Adrian Beltre, number 23, one of the more underrated sluggers. A lot of people probably do not realize how close Adrian Beltre is to 500 home runs in his career. He retired before he got there, has a 48 home run season with the Dodgers, which is actually statistically his best season, even though he probably more closely relates to people as a member of the Texas Rangers, which is the reason why he's on that team with this particular creative player. But Beltre could really, really hit, and he was an excellent defensive third baseman. So people may not realize it, but Adrian Beltre is probably a top 5 to 7 third baseman of all time, all things considered. With the glove, with the bat, all of that, 5 to 7, I would say, in terms of like his overall career accomplishments, he needs to be in MLB The Show as well. Now, Roger Maris had the one legendary season. He's number 22 on this list. 61 home runs in 1961. His record for his single season record was broken initially by Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa, and then Barry Bonds broke his record. Of course, broke their record. And then Aaron Judge broke his Yankees record last year. Doesn't change the fact that was a heck of a season. And if we only get a card from that year, it would be great to have in MLB The Show. And it'd be good to have him in offline roster. Dwight Gooden. Unfortunately, his career is very similar in some ways to Darryl Strawberry. But, man, talent-wise, as dominant as I've ever seen a right-handed pitcher be, like that mid-'80s version of Dwight Gooden was just straight filth. Straight up filth. You understand? One of the best right-handed pitchers I've ever seen. Unfortunately, like we said, substance abuse issues kind of derailed things a bit, and he wasn't really able to reach his potential, especially considering how good he was so young. So, all that said, still love to see him in MLB The Show. Next, we got Dave Winfield, got every drop of production out of his career. Over 20 years he played. He's number 20 on this list. Played for a lot of teams for a long time, but his best season statistically is 79 with the San Diego Padres. Outstanding season, outstanding player. A lot of people don't realize too, Dave Winfield was drafted not just in the major leagues, but he's drafted in the NFL, as well as he played basketball for the University of Minnesota. Excellent 3-sport athlete. Next up, we got Josh Gibson, number 19 here. Like James Cool Papa Bell, I expect for him to be added in the MLB The Show 24 next year as a part of their Negro League class for the storylines feature that they started in 23. Josh Gibson was one of the best hitters in baseball. Never got a chance to do it in the major leagues, but fantastic hitter. Probably would have been the best catcher in the major leagues had he made it there. Number 18, Albert Bell. Albert Bell, by most accounts, was out of his freaking mind. It was like crazy for real. Like after he stopped playing, he like chased some kids who had egged his house, and hit him with his car. Yeah, that happened. But he also hit 50 home runs and had 50 doubles in a single season. He could really hit. Really, really hit. I don't condone the car stuff, but he did be cool to have him in MLB The Show. Kurt Schilling, number 17. He's got some political stuff that probably turns people the wrong way. Things are like that sometimes, right? But I try to just keep it in the baseball perspective. He's a fantastic pitcher, probably deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. So I don't think the case is as open and shut as he makes it seem. But he's definitely he's in the conversation for sure. And he should be in MLB The Show. Shoeless Joe Jackson got caught up in the Black Sox scandal in the early 1900s. 8 players were, disqualified from play because they were accused of throwing the World Series. He was among those 8, but in the World Series, he hit .354 in the series. So it did not seem like he was trying to throw anything. But nonetheless, he's wrapped up in that, and that is the reason he's not in the Hall of Fame. And it very well could be the reason that he's not in MLB The Show. I think we should put all that to bed. That was like 1,000 years ago. Let the man in the MLB The Show. Give his descendants of descendants some money. I'm just saying. Buster Posey, number 15 on the list. Buster Posey is a Hall of Famer in my opinion. the moment he is eligible, you got to think he's going in. He has World Series. He's MVP. Handled pitching staff. Was good defensively. Just a total package. You can make a very good argument that he is the greatest catcher of his era. He actually used to work with Sony some years back. So I don't know. I think there's a thing where when a guy first retires, they're probably not going to be in the game as a legend for the first year or two. I don't know what it is, but it just seems like that's the trend. But he needs to be in there. Jose Canseco, number 14. You want to talk about just absolutely cool to play as Jose Canseco. This would be insane. 40 home runs, 40 stolen bases in this 88 season, won the MVP, but he got the steroid thing. And he was like a big part of it. I'm talking about the man's got a book called Juiced. That ain't a good look. It's just not. Told on people, told on Mark McGwire. It's nasty, right? But man, he could really play. And it would be really fun to play with Jose Canseco in the game. We don't know if it'll happen. I'm thinking probably not. Number 13, Jose Fernandez. Some people should be in the game because they had long careers and they did great things. Some people should be in the game because it would just be really cool to see MLB The Show honor them in that way. Jose Fernandez has died in a boat accident, 24 years old. We can only wonder what he would have done as a pitcher. Fantastic player and talent. He was definitely on his way to dominance. It'd be cool if he was in the game. I know I'm not alone in that thought. Next, number 12, Joe DiMaggio. 56 game hit streak, even though this 37 seasons is not the year that he did that. But he has so many good seasons. He's another one, I tell you, if you don't know, go to Baseball Reference and look up Joe DiMaggio's numbers. The Yankee Clipper was swatting. From a statistic standpoint, you got to think he's like top 5-7 hitters of all time. Crazy. Mr. Coffee, he needs to be in the game. Ty Cobb, early 1900s. Now, he is one that has some stains on his reputation, even though some people say it's not true. He's choked up super high on the bat. I didn't even know you could do this with a creative player. But him and Pete Rose are the only two guys in Major League history with over 4,000 hits. When Pete Rose broke the all-time hit record, he broke Ty Cobb's record. Batting titles, stolen base titles, just a fantastic player. I don't know if the stuff they said is true. I don't know. I think he should be in the game. Here's Pete Rose. We just talked about him. Number 10. Y'all can bank on it. Pete Rose ain't never going to be in MLB The Show. He ain't never. So it's a really good thing that this creative player is as good as it is, because this is the closest you're going to get it. 1, he bet on baseball. That's a thing. 2, even bigger, he has a sex scandal, so to speak, of a relationship that he allegedly had with an underage girl when he was a player. Yeah, that ain't gonna work out, Pete. He said he didn't do it, so you know, I don't want to throw him under the bus too hard, but he said he didn't do it. But I'm gonna tell you, yeah, it ain't gonna work out. It ain't gonna work out. So that's the closest you're gonna be. But he is a missing legend from the game. Ted Williams, number 9 on this list. Ted Williams is last guy to hit 400 in Major League Baseball history. One of the greatest hitters, of course, of all time. He's another Red Sox. Like I said, there's a lot of missing Red Sox. But I don't know if Ted Williams is ever going to make it in the game. There's a really weird thing with him. When he died, one of his kids, or I think it was 2 of them, had him decapitated and his body frozen. So I don't know what's going on, but I think that might have something to do with them not being able to get his rights to use his likeness. It's really strange going on in the Williams residence there. It's strange, but yeah, should be in the game. Sandy Koufax, one of the greatest left-handed pitchers of all time. He's number 8 on this list. Career was cut short a bit because of injury, but as dominant as anybody in his prime. Number 7, we got Manny Ramirez, yet another missing Red Sox. We got another one coming too after this. Not right after this, but coming. One of the best hitters of his era, an RBI machine. If y'all are wondering what's up with Big Papi's actually in the game, so his cards will probably be coming later. But Manny Ramirez should be in the game. Ichiro Suzuki, number 6. Thankfully, the only regret we have about Ichiro's career is that we regret that we wish that we got an opportunity to see him play in the United States for his entire career. Instead, he was an older rookie, and man, did he still even put on the show once he got there. The legacy of Japanese player turned American star in baseball was started with Ichiro. Shohei's like continuing that type of legacy, but Ichiro is the pioneer. What a fantastic career he had. He should be in the show. He might end up in there. Number 5, Steve Carlton. My personal favorite as to me, the greatest left-handed pitcher ever. I know Randy Johnson's right there in that conversation, but Steve Carlton was straight filth. He didn't have the same longevity as Randy, so kind of got to give the big unit his due there. But Steve Carlton was just fantastic for the Cardinals and the Phillies. Best year was the year he got traded to the Phillies. Next up, we got Albert Pujols. I think he's in that Buster Posey situation, even more recent case because he just retired last year. He's number 4 on this list. We know the machine is one of the greatest hitters ever. You could make an argument he might be, it's him and maybe one other guy's the best hitters of his generation. He'll be back in the game. For right now, we got him on the list because he's a missing legend for sure. But I say 2024, 2025, he's probably back in MLB The Show. We need it in there. We need it. Next up, A-Rod. Now, they started the Steroid Forgiveness Act, or whatever you want to call it. The Steroid Forgiveness movement last year, this year, when they had let Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa in. I'm hoping it extends to Alex Rodriguez. If I got to tell you how good Alex Rodriguez is, you probably shouldn't even be watching this video. Just click off, because he was that great of a baseball player. Right on the cusp of 700 career home runs. A-Rod needs to be in the game, y'all. Everybody knows it. Come on. Another missing Red Sox, one of the greatest right-hand pitchers of all time, Roger Clemens. His name is attached to the steroid thing, though, so it's weird. But man, was he dominant. And wow, was he dominant for a long period of time on top of that. He's got a couple little things associated with him too, like he might be a little off. Got into it with some people at his kid's baseball game. I think he tried to throw somebody go over the plate like a slider or something. I don't know what he did, but something went bad. And I don't know if that's keeping him out. Hopefully not. Number 1, y'all all should have known who it was. It's Barry Bonds. We got a Barry Bonds series going on the channel. If you have not checked it out, you should. But 04 Barry Bonds, I think statistically is his best season. He had a lot of great seasons. He is, in my opinion, the greatest hitter of all time. I don't care what era it is. I don't care nothing about any of that stuff. Steroid talk, whatever you want to say. He is the greatest hitter of all time. I would take him number 1 on my team if I was drafting and doing an all-time draft, a draft of every player that has ever played in the game. If you give me a 26-year-old Barry Bonds, 25-year-old Barry Bonds, I would take him every single time. That's what I got for you guys in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe, and I'm out.